Hello and welcome to another video. This is kind of a bonus video. I just want to say thank you for all the people that have subscribed to the channel recently. Last weekend I was at the UK Games Expo and that's where I hit 1,000 subscribers, so I wasn't really able to do anything because I was busy trying to sell Quintessence, which did very well by the way. So I thought I'd do a quick Q&A video to answer any of your questions while I draw a bunch of quite mental goblins. Alright, let's go with the first question. So where do you get your prompts and where can I get one of your maps? So I've lumped this in as one because it's kind of the same answer. Essentially, I make up my prompts. I keep a notebook with me most of the time and just kind of jot ideas down and little 2-word prompts. I'm dyslexic, so I try and keep it very, very brief in my prompts to make sure I try and spell it correctly. In terms of where can you get a map, I am currently working on making a website where you can download both the prompts and a map. The maps will be for sale, obviously the prompts will probably be for free. I'm hoping to get that up and running in time for the end of June, so fingers crossed. I've never made a website before, so could be interesting. But yeah, if you want a map and any of the other projects, they'll all be on there. So as soon as I have that up and running, I will let you all know. Okay, next question. Okay, what do you use to draw with? Okay, I use a bunch of stuff when I'm making the maps. So first off, I use this lovely wormwood mechanical pencil that somebody bought me for Christmas a number of years ago. It's a lovely pencil. I use a mechanical pencil because I can't be asked to constantly keep sharpening my pencil. I use I think it's a 0.7 size lead in it. Typically I use between a B to a 3B because I like kind of a heavier line. But yeah, if Wormwood's watching, I have a few comments about your pencils that could help you out. In terms of pens, I like to use Faber-Castell pens. They're waterproof. I use a bunch of these, so the smallest one I use is a 0.3, so you can see how small that kind of nib is. Then I go up to, again, Faber-Castell, a medium, which is a 0.7. This is a bit of a chunkier nib. This is the one I use the most, if I'm being really honest. So I go through these like you wouldn't believe. And then I go into some thicker pens to colour in all those blacks. I find making quite light or dark images make for interesting images. And this is more like a felt tip kind of nib. Faber-Castell do make really thick pens, but they're quite expensive, so I use a really cheap W.H. Smith's pen. It smells amazing, I've got to say, so it's probably really bad for you. But yeah, that's what I use to do all the rest. So that's what I draw with. Oh, and a rubber or an eraser for my American viewers. Very, very important. Okay, next question. Why do you use yellow dice? Okay, short answer is because I really like yellow. Long answer is my very first die that I ever used, which is the D20 there, is the oldest dice I own. I've had it since 1991 from my very first game of D&D, and whenever I make an important roll I use that yellow D20, and I really like yellow dice. But it's quite hard to find decent yellow dice. If any of you are dice makers out there, get in touch. I'll happily use your dice. We can do a trade for some art if you like. But yeah, just get in touch. Love me some dice. Alright, next question. Okay, why did I take a 4-year break from making videos? Alright, so I began making videos during lockdown because I had time. And as I mentioned in some of those videos, my job at the time was I was a lecturer at a college. And I just ran out of time. I had more and more responsibility at work. I had freelance work to do on the side. So I just ran out of time. But it always, not being able to make videos, I kind of wanted to make more, but I just couldn't really find the time. And I didn't really feel like I had anything to say. And I didn't really feel that the videos I was making at the time were particularly good. So I stopped. I recently quit being a lecturer and went freelance full-time because the work was kind of there, and I started making role-playing games and all sorts of stuff, so I had the time, and I had more ideas. I was more invigorated, The teaching profession isn't easy. I was very burnt out when I decided to leave that job, so yeah, it's taken me a while, but now I'm back on it and I'm really enjoying it. So fingers crossed we can keep this momentum up. It'll be good. All right, next question. What do you have planned for the channel? That's a good question. I have a few things planned. So in the immediate future, I want to carry on with the monthly dungeons because I think they're quite fun and they do well. I also quite want to continue with the mini dungeons until I've done all 20 on the list. But I also want to do kind of little vlog videos like I did about Quintessence. I would like to do all sorts of videos. I can't really talk about it too much, but I've just signed a deal with a RPG publisher about making a project that I'd like to chronicle on here. So as soon as I get the go ahead from that, I will do some blogs or vlogs, I never know which one to say, but I'll do some vlogs on that. So yeah, but I'd also like to do top 10s, like my top 10 RPGs, my top 10 fantasy artists, my top 10 sci-fi artists, my top 10 influencers, that kind of thing. If that's the sort of thing you want to see, let me know. But yeah, definitely the drawing of the maps will continue. I'd like to make zines, put all that on here as well. I've got all sorts of ideas, but the maps for now are going to be a mainstay because I really enjoy doing them, and I feel like you enjoy watching them as well. So we'll carry on with them for the time being. Okay, next question. Okay, what's my favorite TTRPG? Well, spoiler, I am going to do a top 10 video of my favorite RPGs that I've played. I'm not one of these people that sticks to it, plays one system and then that's it, or one setting and that's it. I like to play lots and lots of different games, but I think my favorite RPG would surprise you, so I'm not going to answer that right now. I'm going to save it for a video, but it'll surprise you, I think. And I think that list would surprise you as well. It's a good mix of fairly new games and much older games as well, so stay tuned for that one. All right, next question. Would I be up for any collaborations? Yes, 100%. As I said in my Quintessence video, I collaborated with talented writer and illustrator Charlotte Trainer to make that, and it was immensely fun. In my career as an illustrator, I've collaborated with lots of people. I love it for this. If you're an artist, a dice maker, a miniature maker, a writer, I'm all up for collaboration, so just get in touch. I think you can find my email on here somewhere, or just stick something in the comments. I'd love to collaborate with people. I think collaboration often breeds really interesting results that you wouldn't get to by yourself, so yeah, 100% up for that. Will you only be doing fantasy type videos? No, as I said, I have a vast array of interests. I like horror, sci-fi, comedy. Well, comedy is a big part of what I do now, but yeah, I just kind of started with fantasy because it's sort of my go-to thing, but yeah, I think either July or August, I think I'm planning a sci-fi themed monthly map, so probably heavily Mothership inspired because I love that game. I think it's brilliant. Not my top one though, so still stay tuned for that upcoming video. So yeah, and then I'll probably move into some horror at some point, but yeah, there'll be all sorts of different videos. They'll probably all have a TTRPG link somehow, but yeah, I'm not just going to stick to fantasy. I'll do all sorts. All right, next question. Okay, what other YouTube channels would you recommend? Okay, that's an interesting question. I'm not going to sort of go through a deep dive of up-and-coming YouTubers and things like that. I'm just going to talk about channels that I watch. I may well do a video on up-and-coming YouTube videos that you should watch, but for now, I'll go through it. So if I start off with kind of talking head, lore, or review-based stuff, Dungeons and Dyslexia is a fantastic YouTube channel. I'll put links to all of these in the description. Dungeons and Dyslexia is a brilliant channel by a lovely chap called Adrian. And speaking of collaborations, I do a bi-weekly live review here on YouTube with Adrian, where we review all sorts of TTRPGs. It's a very lively chat, so if you're about, I think the next one's on the 18th, which is, we do it at 8 p.m. UK time. So if you're around, check it out, have a look. You can see my face as well, which is not always great, but yeah, his channel is fantastic. He kind of encouraged me to get back into YouTube as well. So you can kind of thank him for all my map videos and things like that. He talks about, he puts up a video every day as well. I don't know how he manages that. He reviews RPGs, he does creator interviews, and he's doing some really interesting stuff right now. So definitely check him out. I'm not super into Games Workshop or Warhammer or anything like that, but Jordan Sorcery does these phenomenal kind of lore videos, and he's so enthusiastic. I love watching his stuff, so check him out. And in terms of kind of weird RPG reviews, I love Quinn's Quest. It's done in such a weird, quirky kind of 90s video cassette way, and he's a very good reviewer. He gives you all the good, the bad, and the ugly about a game, so check him out. In terms of art related stuff, most of the art stuff I watched no longer exists on YouTube. They kind of stopped doing it, but the ones I still watch are JP Covert, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Amazing channel. If you like my stuff, you'll love his stuff. He's got a lovely style. He makes maps, he does zines, he does everything I want to do, really. He very kindly commented on one of my videos recently, which was a huge deal because he's quite a big YouTuber. So yeah, I love his stuff, you know, and if he wants to collaborate, I am 100% up for that, let me tell you. Another artist I like who sort of sporadically puts videos up is Jeff Miracola. He's an old school Magic the Gathering artist, amongst other things. And he works traditionally, and it's an absolute joy to watch. So if you like kind of process-based videos, watch those. I find myself watching a lot of crafting videos, specifically miniature crafting videos. So the ones I would recommend is Bill Making Stuff. He's hilarious, and his videos are brilliant, and he's very skilled and talented. MS Paints, who talks about all sorts of wargaming stuff and has a really interesting way of making videos, and they're just very entertaining. And Dan Does, who weirdly is the twin brother of Bill Making Stuff, and he makes these phenomenal kind of clay monsters amongst other things. If you like really gory 80s inspired horror things, give Dan Does a look, it's all good. And lastly, live plays. So I used to watch a lot of live plays, but I don't really have time anymore. So the one I would recommend is Mystery Quest. They're sort of about an hour long episodes. They're very quirky. I really enjoy the way the videos are presented, and yeah, it just looks like a fun bunch of people who clearly enjoy whimsical and funny style games. So yeah, give all them a look. I highly recommend them. Alright, I think we're on to the last question now. Okay, what else do I do? Alright, yeah, so as well as making these videos, I work as a freelance illustrator. In the past, I've worked in all manner of areas within that, editorial, publishing, advertising. I worked within animation for a long time, and I was a lecturer. Right now, I write and illustrate role-playing games, so I have a number in the works. I've got a kind of a secret-ish project that could be quite big that hopefully will end up on here fairly soon. I'm always up for commissions and collaborations, so if there's anything you want, and when I get that website up and running, all that information will be on there. So yeah, I do a bunch of stuff. It's mostly all art related. I try and play at least one RPG a week with either an online group or our kind of home game that we play in. Try not to go to the pub too often, but probably every now and again. Should probably do more exercise, but who has time for that these days? It's crazy. And I watch a lot of TV and I read a lot of books. That's pretty much my life. I cook occasionally, I suppose, but yeah, I do a bunch of stuff outside of all of this, but I don't know how relevant most of that is. So yeah, okay, cool. And lastly, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to all of you that have subscribed. If you haven't, please do. I will put out at least one video a week. That's what I'm committing myself to. I'm still working YouTube out, so maybe it'll be more, but it certainly won't be less than one a week. So thanks again for subscribing. As always, Any questions, stick them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them, or I'll save them for another milestone, so yeah, that would be a good one. I don't know what the next milestone is. Is it 2,500 or is it 5,000? I don't know. Anyway, like and subscribe. I'll have a new video out on Tuesday, which is a mini dungeon based around a dwarven forge, which I'm editing as I do this. Alright folks, thanks again, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one folks. Take it easy. Bye now.